Back in June of 2020, Netflix announced the Cuphead Show, a show based on the video game Cuphead. Well, it was officially released on Netflix and features the misadventures of the titular Cuphead and his brother Mugman through Inkwell Isle. With so many intriguing characters throughout the series, it made us ask the age-old question, who's the best of the best, and who deserves to try surviving in the pits of hell? I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Netflix's The Cuphead Show characters from good to evil. And side note, after you watch this video, make sure to check out our video, Cuphead Game Characters from Weak to Powerful, over on our gaming channel, 1UP Binge. As always, we'll be starting with the most good and noble character in the show and working our way down to the worst. These characters are the good. Earning our gold medal of good is Mugman, one of the two main characters in the show. Mugman, like his brother, is a young teen who lives with the Elder Kettle on Inkwell Isle. He gets into plenty of shenanigans with his brother, most of which involve dealing with the devil or his associates. He's saved his brother's soul multiple times, including in the very first episode, and later on, he saved him from the devil once again. He even knit an invisible sweater that stopped the devil from taking his soul. Mugman is arguably the smarter of the two, but he's also shown to be kind of cowardly at times, not to mention quite easy to trick. In episode 10, Dangerous Mugman, he does get over his cowardly ways and becomes a bit braver, thanks to a ploy from Cuphead, but we don't get to see a lot of this new braver Mugman. That said, Mugman is still a shoo-in for the gold medal of good.
Come on, Cuphead! It's time for a double down!
While not the most important character, Quadratus gets our silver medal of good. He only appears in episode 8, and even then, his role is relatively small. But what he lacks in screen time, he makes up for in good actions. Quadratus is a sage and supposedly great and smart. He's the one responsible for telling Mugman how to stop the devil from grabbing Cuphead's soul. He even provides the invisible yarn necessary to do so as well, which makes it quite obvious why he ranks so high on the good tier. He may have taken the gold medal if only he had more screen time. Oh, banana oil, titular character Cuphead only gets our bronze medal of good. In any other universe, Cuphead would rank a bit lower than this, but as you'll see, there are not a whole lot of really good characters here. Cuphead is a hot-headed young teen who insists on doubling down at every opportunity. He hates doing chores and will always take the easy way out. He's a show-off, and he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. However, while all of these traits are bad for different reasons, he's still a good kid at times.
You know what I do when I'm not so sure? I double down!
He's willing to help people if need be. He loves his brother quite a lot, as he'll split half of his pancakes with Mugman and try to convince him to be brave with the goggles in episode 10. However, he does have a whole host of issues, and in any other show would fall much lower. But luckily for him, the bar isn't too high on Netflix's The Cuphead Show, so we are comfortable giving him the bronze medal of good. Maybe ranking a bit high to some, but next up on our list is Miss Chalice. Chalice is a trickster of the highest caliber, and gets all kinds of stuff just by being cute and charming. She calls herself Nothing But Trouble, and a solo act, but does take Cuphead and Mugman under her wing to learn her charming ways. She does break the law in a myriad of ways, such as pretty much stealing all kinds of items and trespassing. She does accidentally get the boys arrested, but it is shown that she didn't want them to get arrested, and it's also revealed that she may be a spirit of some kind. We'll likely see more of her in season 2, but as for now, she lands here. Up next is Doris from episode 3. Doris is a relatively small character in the episode, and the girlfriend or wife of Sherman. She is shown to get quite angry that Sherman is always working, and wants him around more often. She also hates getting corrected and does inform Sherman about Mugman and Cuphead escaping, although doesn't comment on Sherman trying to cook them.
Like how your mate's escaping.
If she had more screen time, she may rank lower, but at this point, this is where she ends up. Rounding out the good section are Duke, Jasper, and Emma. This trio of ghostly ghouls are the main antagonists of episode 6, where they spend most of the episode trying to scare Cuphead and Mugman in the graveyard. They are kind of an abusive trio, where the leader likes to beat up on the big lug, much like the Three Stooges. They didn't actually want to harm the cups, as they get scared and sad when the cups fall out of the window and look like they're dead, even planning to give a eulogy for them. They honestly were just messing around and weren't really malicious. With the quote-unquote good section out of the way, we now move down into neutral territory. These characters fall in the gray area. Starting out our gray area is Stickler. Stickler is Hell's personal auditor who works on counting and marking down every soul that the devil collects. He only appears in episode 8 during the devil's party in Hell, where he is constantly trying to ruin the party by bringing up Cuphead, the one soul the devil hasn't collected yet. Stickler really cares about what he does, and even says he won't apologize for doing his job, even though everyone, including the devil, hates him.
I will not apologize for doing my job.
By the end of the episode, he's forced to do a full recount due to how he's annoying the devil. He's really only an annoyance and nothing else, hence his ranking. Next up is none other than Elder Kettle. Kettle is the caretaker of Cuphead and Mugman, and as his name implies, on the older side. He makes breakfast for the boys in the mornings and takes care of them quite well, trying to teach them responsibility in a myriad of ways. Sure, he gets angry at times, and takes a lot of pride in things like his radio and garden, but he does try his best. However, he has to be pulled down here because in episode 11, he does actively try to kill the boys because he overheard them talking about burying a worm. Not to say he's very competent or good at doing this, but it's still pretty messed up. Following Elder Kettle is Sherman. Sherman is a chef on Ribby and Croak's riverboat who finds Cuphead and Mugman in the freezer, and we can assume that he was going to chop up, cook, and serve the boys to the people on the boat. He's consumed in his work, and supposedly always working, according to Doris. And he does get quite angry at Doris for mispronouncing anniversary.
Anniversary! It's anniversary!
Though we do dock him evil points, because he had to do this as part of his job, and it wasn't done maliciously to our knowledge. Rounding out the gray area is Henchman. Henchman is, as his name implies, the devil's henchman, and could be seen as his right-hand man to some degree. He helps the devil in a variety of ways, such as telling him the soul counter had stopped or helping him heal his wounds after he was injured by the sweater that stops him from collecting souls. He even tries to cheer the devil up with leftover cake from their party, and the devil trusts him enough to reveal he hadn't actually caught Cuphead. Henchman isn't evil by himself, but following the devil's orders without question does bring him down a peg to say the least. And with that said, finally, we move on down to the bottom of the barrel. These characters are the bad and the evil. Starting off the bad and evil section is Ribby and Croaks. Ribby and Croaks are ex-boxers who now run a supposedly stand-up riverboat. However, just because they are now supposedly stand-up guys, they don't treat people very well. Not only do they steal $5 from Cuphead and Mugman, but they subsequently kick them into the river. The two of them constantly fight with each other, despite them promising their mother otherwise. And they end up sinking their own ship because they cared more about getting the bums rather than protecting their paying customers. The reason we don't rank them any lower is because they do forgive Cuphead and Mugman, and call them part of their family, trying to turn things around. Moving on to Porkrind, the local store owner. Porkrind appears in 2 separate episodes, where he helps the boys in a couple of different ways. He intends to sell glue to the boys to get Mugman's handle back on, and confirms that the more they needed it, the more expensive it would be. He's also shown to have anger issues, daydreaming about literally killing the boys. Not to mention threatening to eat a baby dragon, and sending the boys on a dangerous mission because they were annoying him. However, he's not all bad. As long as you have money, he's willing to sell to you, and he ends up giving the Dirk Dangerous machine to the boys because they loved it so much. Porkrind doesn't actually actively try to kill the boys in any way, so we'll let him slide just a little bit. Just outside of our bottom 3 is the root pack. The root pack consists of 3 root vegetables: Sal the Spud, Ollie the Onion, and Chauncey the Carrot. The 3 of them appear by stealing soil from Elder Kettle, and then conning the boys with a sob story. They convince the boys to leave them with the garden, and then start to throw a massive party while they're gone. Then stop them from entering their own home. They don't care about anything save for their reputation, and fight amongst themselves quite often. The 3 of them are all major a-holes to the boys, but we won't rank them in the bottom 3 because they're more annoying than anything else. Taking the bronze medal of evil is the gambling gamester King Dice. King Dice only appears in episode 5, Roll the Dice, which is a travesty for reasons we won't get into here. But even in this series, he still keeps up his right-hand man status to the devil, and hosts a show called Roll the Dice, which is just a front to steal souls. He's pretty well liked and quite popular. He tries everything in his ability to take Cuphead's soul, but fails at it, getting his very first loss ever. This causes him to lose his #1 status in his show, as he's seen as a cheater and the show is rigged. Snatching the silver medal of evil is Baby Bottle from the episode of the same name. Now, while this does sound weird, and stick with us here, Baby Bottle is the main antagonist of the second episode of the series. And what an antagonist he is. He starts off by tricking Cuphead and Mugman with his cuteness, but pretty quickly starts attacking and decimating the house. He locks the boys out of the house to destroy things. He breaks the fishbowl and just leaves the fish to die. Breaks the radio knowing it was the one bad thing to break. And then actively tries to kill not only Cuphead and Mugman, but also Elder Kettle. By the end of the episode, it's pretty clear that Baby Bottle is actually malicious, and not just being a weird child, if the way it tears the head off of Mugman's bear is any indication. He's pretty bad, but still only #2 to our Gold Medal of Evil winner. And that Gold Medal of Evil goes to no one's surprise, the Devil. The Devil is the owner and operator of Hell, which takes care of famines, war, and gluttony, among other things. He reaps millions of souls in a variety of ways, but one of his most noticeable is the carnival he runs that is a front for souls or the aforementioned game show. A lot of his deeds are really about annoyance, as he causes a lot of annoyances to the local yokels, and he quite enjoys it when people run in fear of him. However, he can be kind of daft at times, such as when he destroys his own carnival chasing around Cuphead and Mugman, or tries dozens of times to take Cuphead's soul with the sweater on him. He, however, has no qualms about taking souls and taking out his anger on his own minions like Stickler and King Dice. It's no surprise Old Scratch ranks here, as he's a classic trickster and soul reaper. But we haven't seen the full extent of his evil just yet. And with this series so closely tied to the devil and sin, it only makes sense that we award some sinner medals. Earning our Darwin medal is the titular character Cuphead. He is just dumb on so many occasions. He doesn't understand basic words at times, and mostly just runs on impulse. Cuphead also grabs our Sloth medal because even in the first episode, he'll blow off chores just because he wants to be lazy instead. Grabbing our Gluttony medal is the Root Pack. This is because out of spite, they suck up all the water in the garden, which almost leads to their deaths. The Pride medal goes to the devil himself. In episode 8, he spends the entire time congratulating himself for work that others did because of how he runs it. Old Scratch, the devil, also grabs the Wrath medal. This is because in the aforementioned episode, he got so angry he blew up half of the forest. But let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking. And if you want more Cuphead content, check out our brand new Cuphead characters Weak to Powerful over on our gaming channel 1UP Binge. Remember to hit that notification bell, but most importantly, stay wicked.